You're welcome back. Now, there's growing anxiety among farmers in communities in the Zabzugu district of the northern region as they continue to struggle in their bid to access their farms, markets and health centers due to dilapidated roads there. Continuous torrential rainstorm in the area has cut off some towns and has already claimed the life of a pregnant woman. JoyNews' Hashmin Mohammed visited the area and reports on how residents are coping with the situation.
This road is the Zabzugu-Nakpali road. It has been cut off by floodwater following days of continuous rains in the northern region. There are over 70 farming communities with a population of more than 5,000 inhabitants on this stretch of road who depend largely on farming. For farmers to cross this road to commercial centers, farmers require a group of strong men to push or pull the goods through. Mohammed Amonkwa is a trader who uses this road often.
Rainy season like this, we are cut off about almost 6 months. Crossing the river to Zabzugu side or Yindi side or Tamal side. And the goods, food stuffs are always there. The yams even we have to bury it. Until 6 months that we are able to get trucks. That is dry season time. Okay. So we are appealing to the government to come out to help to put up a concrete bridge for us to enable the transportation and then all what I'm saying to go smoothly.
Our team met this woman, Sangi Kwabna, with a swollen feet, who managed to cross the road to Zabzugu Hospital to deliver her babies. On her return to her community, she is being carried on the back by her husband, while others help with her 2 babies to cross to safety. Sangi Kwabna narrates to JoyNews the struggle she and other pregnant women go through to access health care.
Then the stomach was failing here. Then when they were coming, the water was too much in such a way that they can't cross. Then it was some boys who were swimming and they lifted her. Then when they lifted her, they even have to fall on beside the river there. And then they struggle to stand on the top of one of the rock, and then they are able to pass with her. And then when they arrive at Zabzugu, then he has delivered. Then when the leg was disturbing her, in such a way that he can't cross the river, when they were to lift her on the river side there, it was paining her in such a way that he was crying. So when he got to Zabzugu and had a deliver, I have seen that the leg too is now getting okay.
A pregnant woman has already died whilst trying to use the road to the nearest health facility in the district capital, Zabzugu. Spokesperson for the chief of Nakpali, S.A. Mahama, is unhappy about the situation.
A woman and the labor being carried on a motorbike to cross such a river in water at midnight, not even daylight.
So do you have a situation where a pregnant woman has lost her life?
Yeah, we have it. In our records in the clinic, they have the record. A pregnant woman who is referred to a nearest hospital, that is Zabzugu Hospital.
Farmers in the area, through communal labor, have improvised with stones and sand to create passage for at least tricycles. District Chief Executive for Zabzugu, Ahmed Abubakar Idrisu, tells JoyNews government is in the process of awarding contract for the road to be fixed.
The road is being packaged, and anytime soon, when it is constructed or is awarded on contract, it is there and then we can see a series of visitors to conduct feasibility studies on the road from Tamale to the border, and also from Zabzugu to somewhere Chichagi. And that Chichagi road, it will pass through Napali. were told it's going to be a well bank project. So they came, they did feasibility study on that. Subsequently, there was another group of the team who came.
Hashmin Mohammed's report from Zabzbu for Joy News.
Let's stay on the issue of communities cut off due to lack of bridges or roads or dilapidated roads. Here's a video that has gone viral. This video you're about to see was shot in Nangruma in the Mamprugu district of the northern region. Imagine a pregnant woman being carried shoulder high across a river so high that she can access the nearest hospital to deliver. Let your imagination rest and watch this video.
This is a crossing so the motor crossing so as a funny panel or one as an actual. Moha Bria, as a Yankagana Juana, Mamuka. Omu yes actual as an over for banner or Nimna, or Paso Wuna went to me as a cross at the trap at the hospital. And Musma see hospital, I might ask the Mumbai be a man, Mumbai be a man, Moha Bria, okay, Wahanka bet my blessing. Tia Brown mo bre, tia Bria bre, Abba, or Mangana. Muyan and Gruma Bria bre. Tia Obana over Gadia my end. One Muhan and Gruma, dear Cosson and Gruma. Into a man and Kahuana. Eh? Tia Bria Brown and Gruma. Tia Bria bre. Como Yalawa. Ebra ebre nti na nguma ye nka ho ana na ye nka vote no vote du a ye nka ho ana oba na oba wo no ho achi ne pa ye nim kwan abefa sama na wo omodo no kurofo ade akwa another village answer na wawo emra ye se wo hospital ha amoba bibia ma ye so ye tiatna ma obi ho chi na de na akọ no no enye sa gise ye brace answer ye de na akọ another village answer na wa di no wo aba oman video etwidru na do hokra nke ehiama me pa.
Now, we were scheduled to speak to the DCE for the area, Abu Adams. He's DCE for Mamprugu Manduri, and he was scheduled to speak to us. In fact, he had agreed to speak to us, but after several calls, he's failed to pick up his calls. But I usually don't do this. But today, my conscience has compelled me to state my opinion on the news we just reported. A pregnant woman just lost a baby because she had to be carried across a river. The obvious reason, poor roads. Also, a clinic in her community has not been commissioned. Last week, JoyNews reported that a broken bridge caused the death of a pregnant woman. In that same week, we brought you the story of a family of 6 wiped out because of a broken bridge. Seriously, this is depressing. Where is the respect for human lives? I'm incensed today because of all that we do is report the news while authorities do little or almost nothing. When will our politicians really take care of us and fix situations like this? I'll be back after this break. Welcome back. Now, headmaster of the Prempeh College, SK Frimpong, has been referred to the Ghana Education Service for further action over his alleged involvement in the sale of some parcels of land belonging to the school. Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, who disclosed this, said an interim management committee will be constituted to manage the affairs of the college after he dissolved a previous committee. The development comes in response to several concerns raised over the increasing spate of encroachment of some parcels of land earmarked for projects in the school. Love FM's Nana Sensumensa has more.
There was drama at the premises of Prempeh College when Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh sought to question authorities of the school about the increasing spate of encroachment of school lands. The minister, who was suspicious, immediately ordered the dissolution of current school management committee to make way for an interim committee to manage the school's affairs.
I've informed the regional director of education that we will dissolve the board for now for being complicit in such a heinous thing. we would dissolve the board. We would form an interim management committee to look after Prempeh College and its assets better. And when the thing matters settle, they would reconstitute the board with all the necessary stakeholders to be involved in the management of a day-to-day school. But this is an emergency thing and an urgent matter. So we would work with the regional director to find people who are able and willing to protect the school.
Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh told journalists the development would deter others from engaging in such acts. He explains the illegal structures will immediately be demolished to pave way for installation of school-related projects.
People should appreciate the fact that there are laws and order in this country. And my worry was even if you let it continue and you have to expand the school, what do you do? And the excuse, I hope Ghanaians learn from today, that it is not for boards of schools, unless explicitly stated in law. It's not for board of schools and for basic school SMCs, meaning parents, virtually parents, to decide that we'll sell part of the school land for the school. It's not for them to decide on that. It's for the ministry, for Ghana Education Service HQ, working together with the ministry and the government that decides what to do. And moreover, the president had issued a directive that schools that are being encroached on, it should be as a policy directive, get funds should, as a matter of principle, quickly wall those schools. And an example is Achimota and other schools we are doing. So I don't see absolutely the need. We all went there, we saw that there's a wall. Albeit the wall has not finished because of the construction. Where the wall is broken, that is where those who were constructing the main Aquah road, they were using to store some of their stuff and things like that. Even you can realize that the front gate, the main entrance of Prempeh College, is partially destroyed because of that. And they haven't finished constructing that road. So for people to come and build within the school, it's like if we allow it to go on, see where we are standing now. Very soon somebody will come and do a three-room boys contest here. It's the same. What's the difference? It's a space of land.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Asensumensa.
And here in the studios, I'm Araba Kumsin. You're still watching Joy News Prime. Stay with us. We have a lot more stories coming up. You're still watching Joy News Prime. I'm Araba Kumsin. Now, the Electoral Commission says it will go ahead with planned activities towards the creation of the proposed 6 regions, despite 2 separate court actions seeking to stop the process. Pressure group Stranek and 2 other individuals have filed for an interlocutory injunction on the entire process, leading to the creation of the 6 proposed regions. We'll hear from the chairperson of the commission, Jean Mensah, who says the suits do not constitute injunction. But first, listen to her outlining the processes for the registration.
Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5 of the 1992 Constitution, the Electoral Commission is mandated to hold a referendum to determine whether the voters in the region to be created support the creation of a new region or not. In the light of the above, the Electoral Commission deems it appropriate to brief the press on preparations being undertaken by the Commission for the conduct of the referenda in the 6 proposed regions. As part of the Commission's preparations, a limited registration exercise will take place throughout the country as required by law. Ahead of the referendum, the country would be zoned into 2 for the purposes of this exercise. Zone 1 will affect areas carved out for the referendum and will be held in 47 districts in the proposed 6 regions. Zone 2 will comprise the non-affected areas. For Zone 1, kindly find below the arrangements that we intend to make. The limited voter registration exercise will be done online through the Commission's Voter Management System, the VMS. The registration will take place in the 47 district offices of the Electoral Commission carved out for the referendum. The registration exercise will take place from Sunday, the 16th of September 2018 to Tuesday, the 25th of September, 2018, and will be held between the hours of 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. each day, including Saturdays and Sundays.
As we indicated, Stranek is seeking a declaration that the recommendation by the Justice Alan Brobe Commission of Inquiry on the creation of the 6 new regions be declared null and void. But the EC chairperson says the suits are not binding on the Commission's work.
With regards to the suit, that the service of the writ of summons on us, it was delivered yesterday, but it was not with an application, and therefore it cannot be held to be binding an effective injunction on the Commission. And that's why we are holding this, press conference today and going ahead with the limited registration exercise as planned. I know that it was a gentleman who spoke on the budget. I think this is something that is very dear to our hearts. Over the last few weeks, we've had, discussions on the cost of elections, and we are very mindful of that, mindful that we are managing, the taxpayers' resources, and we'll ensure that we'll use it in the most prudent of manners, and, looking at international best practices and other countries across the country. Unfortunately, we are not able to, give you a cost. We've just come in. We are reworking some of these things. We have received some money for it, and I'd like to assure you that the Commission is not cash-starved, and therefore the processes will go on as planned, but we are unable for now to let you know the actual cost. I'd like to assure you that we will make this available in due course.
We're taking a break for business now, but stay with us because right after business, we'll hear from the Vice President who's been justifying the measures being taken by government to arrest the free fall of the city. We'll be right back.
Hello again, good evening to you, welcome to business. Now, some aggrieved customers of gold trading company Men's Gold Ghana Limited hit the streets on Friday to protest what they say are deliberate attempts to shut down the company. The protest follows the Security and Exchange Commission's directive that the company halts with immediate effect its gold trading activities. The customers, who joined a group calling itself Coalition of Concerned Youth Ghana, threatened a demonstration if government does not intervene. Tete Bill is president of the coalition.
His Excellency Nana Adodankwa Ekufuado. Do we collapse such business? No. Do we seize their license from operating? No. Yes, of course. It's a big no. Yes. A purported letter leaked out, which was believed to have come from one of the organizations called Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, of whom Men's Gold was resolving very delicate matters with in a cordial manner to arrive at a productive and sustainable consensus. This has created panic and fear in the minds of the customers of Men's Gold, and this is very unfortunate and unfair looking at the historical background of this very organization. One school of thought helps us to deduce the fact that when we all help one another and everyone wins, I tell you, there will be progress and development. We as Coalition of Concerned Youth of Ghana appeals to the President of Ghana, Nana Adodankwa Ekufuado, to intervene in this matter quickly to salvage the patriotic Ghanaian businessman, Nana Appiah Mensah, from sinking. We know our President of Ghana is father of all, and he listens to the cry of his children. For this matter, let all support our own. One Ghana, one people, one destiny, one people. Kokog, bright youth, better Ghana. Kokog, bright youth, better Ghana.
Meanwhile, in an attempt to settle the controversy between the two parties, the Security and Exchange Commission has set Tuesday, the 18th of September, to meet officials of Men's Gold for an amicable resolution. Now, shut down your operations now or risk being caught on the wrong side of the law. That's the warning coming from the Securities and Exchange Commission to all operators of unlicensed investment schemes in the country. Here's a business desk report.
The Securities and Exchange Commission, in the public notice, said it has directed these firms to shut down immediately because they are in breach of the country's Securities Industry Act. The Commission in the notice also stated that some of these firms are offering rates as high as 70% per month, which is used as a bait to get the public to fall into the scam. Seeming as a structured form of fraud, offers quick returns to initial investors, but goes down later with all the investors losing their principal, using fresh deposits to pay previous depositors. The capital market regulator was also worried most of these rates are surprisingly in dollars. The Securities and Exchange Commission insisted that these actions are not aimed at collapsing anyone's business, but rather to protect the interest of investors. The capital market regulator was quick to add that the public should watch out for these schemes and unlicensed investment entities.
The Kotoka International Airport Terminal 3 facility opens to the passenger traffic on 15th September, that's Saturday. Now, taking a tour of the facility, the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Carlos Ahinkra, says it hopes to bring businesses to the country.
We are currently here at the departures of the new Kotoka International Airport Terminal 3, where the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority will soon be going on a tour to inspect the facility. Now, all this is because come tomorrow, 15th September, well, the Terminal 3 is going to go live. That is, all activities from Terminal 2 is going to be transferred here. All travelers will be using this particular terminal from tomorrow. The tour commenced from the departure hall of the new Terminal 3 through to other areas of the facility. Particular attention was paid to the luggage handling systems and how to beef up security to curb the smuggling of illicit drugs and items into the country. Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry Carlos Ahinkra said he was confident the facility will help boost trade activities.
This is a platform that has been created for trade to be enhanced. As far as you're concerned, if you have facilities such as this one, where security is the mainstay, many airports, many aircrafts or airlines would like to call this airport, especially the cargo aircrafts. As I speak to you today, DHL, for example, have their hub in Nigeria, Lagos. Who knows? Maybe UPS or FedEx is looking to put a hub somewhere within West Africa. As I can see, a facility such as this one provides or promotes that kind of situation, and it's going to be a better platform for any of these mentioned airlines or cargo airlines to be able to set this place as a hub for trade to go on.
On the issues of revenue generation at the airport, the board chair of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Harry Owusu, said with the expected increase in passenger numbers, more revenue will be mobilized.
So there are three functions that we will be playing here. Each one of them complements each other. And I believe that with the increase in traffic flow, revenue will also increase correspondingly. But it depends on how quickly we adapt to the changes in technology and whatnot, because it's not every luggage that will be going to be physically examined. Some will go through scanners, and of course, there are hidden cameras. They might pick on things that are hidden in the luggage, or they might not. But I believe that with the automatic facilities they have installed, we'll be able to foresaw all the nefarious activities in the past.
Concluding remarks from both officials give the green light for full operations to begin at the new Terminal 3. So come September 15, the wait will be over and passengers can now use the new facility. Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
And the Ghana Water Company Limited has been ordered to refund 15 million cedis to customers after it was found to have illegally collected monies for no water supplied. Players within the industry have lauded the move by the PURC, saying it will lower costs of production. Charles Aite has been engaging Seychelles water producers and has come through with this report.
It's a very busy afternoon right here at the water production plant, Joy Cool they call it, and we're here to interact with one of such workers, Isaac Edusei, to help us understand how they are picking this information by the PLC to the Ghana Water Company Limited, the fact that tariffs are going to be reduced drastically between now till the end of a project which is going to see a desalination project in that regard. How are they experiencing all these things in the wake of the high cost of water, especially for production firms like himself?
As you know, way back 2012, we were using this pipe-borne water, and it was very costly. Sometimes we don't get water at all. We have to sit down and wait to fill the tanks before we start work. Sometimes 3-4 days we don't get water to do our business. So we normally call these tankers to bring us some from, I don't know where the source, we don't know. So when they come, we only treat it, add some chlorine and other chemicals. And
yet in the midst of all these things, we are paying for water bill?
Yeah, we were paying for water bill. Although the water was not flowing frequently, the bill was very big all the time. When the bill comes, say, hey.
And that's all in business news tonight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. There's more.
You're welcome back. Now, President Akufo-Addo says government is still looking for a strategic investor to enable the reopening of the Commenda sugar factory. According to the president, the factory in its present state is nothing but an idle edifice that is short of raw materials and other things necessary to run it efficiently to give Ghanaians value for money. Addressing the chiefs and people of Commenda in the central region to kickstart his 4-day tour of the region, the president assured people of Commenda they will soon hear from him on the way forward on the operations of the sugar factory. We will get because the response was triggered by a question from the Oman Hene of the Commenda traditional area, Nana Kojo Crew II, who asked the president to break his silence on the happenings at the Commenda sugar factory. So here are some facts on the Commenda sugar factory on your screens.
The Commenda sugar factory was built at a cost of $35 million with an Indian Exim Bank facility. Farmers who were encouraged to cultivate sugarcane are disappointed as the factory remains shut 2 years after its official opening. The factory was expected to provide 7,300 direct and indirect jobs. It has the capacity to crush 1,250 tons of sugarcane a day. A study indicates the factory needs close to 300,000 metric tons of sugarcane to become fully operational. The factory was also expected to generate energy for its production activities and produce byproducts such as molasses for the alcohol industry. In November 2017, the government initiated processes to revive operations of the factory. A $24.5 million Indian Exim Bank credit facility was being secured to develop and implement a plantation, and outgrowers came in a bid to provide raw materials for the factory. The scheme was to see the cultivation of some 4,100 acres of sugarcane to feed the plant. The sugar factory is now selling sugarcane at its 125-acre seedling plantation to distillers for Akpeteshi. Local beverage distillers are making a killing because of large supplies of sugarcane. Abundant supply has enabled Akpeteshi distillers to push down the price of sugarcane. $200 million is spent annually to import sugar. Ghana's annual sugar requirement as of 2016 was estimated at 375,000 tons.
Now let's take a listen to the president's explanation on why the Commenda sugar factory is inactive.
Kita, Commenda, Elmina.
All these towns along the coast, Keta, Commenda, Elmina, Jamestown, will benefit from the London site.
The
only worry is the Commenda sugar factory.
Commenda sugar factory.
There were
I don't think we can't see a real still. Yes, I see a dip twice.
Our predecessors could not work on the Commenda sugar factory. We met an abandoned and idle factory.
Now we have on Skype the Chief Executive Officer of Perry Line Limited, Perry Mensah. Perry Line is the firm contracted to work with the Indian side to make the factory operational, yet the factory remains idle. Good evening to you and welcome to JoyNews Prime.
Good evening.
So why are we not producing sugar? Sugarcane growers are selling their produce to Akpeteshi distillers.
Right. The sugarcane at the factory side is supposed to be a nursery, and it's been overgrown, so it has to be sold. And the question that you ask, because it's not being put to work.
Hello, Perry.
Yes.
Okay, if you can hear me, I mean, over time, successive governments have given reasons why the factory has not been as efficiently managed as it should be. What do you make of the latest explanation by the president?
Well, the president, today is his first time of coming to the factory. And I'm sure by the time he left there, he would have been abreast of events there. I wasn't able to go because I've been bedridden with malaria for a whole week. But from what I hear, then we'll definitely do something about it. Because I know that and once he's given the price, he will make the factory workable.
If you could position yourself very well, Perry, because we're having some difficulty hearing you. But as I indicated, the president indicated that they were still looking for investors to invest in the company, which is why they're facing this challenge of running the factory efficiently. Is it a question of investors or a question of raw materials? What exactly is the challenge?
Right. See, this question is a question that is supposed to be answered by the ministry, because I don't work with the ministry, so I don't know what challenges they face in there. But if you ask me my own view as a layman, somebody who doesn't work in the ministry, I can give you that. But if the president says they need foreign investors, maybe that is the plan they have.
Unfortunately, that line to Perry is not too good, so we'll have to end the discussion here. Many thanks for your time, Perry Mensah. Now, blame the depreciating cedi on the increasingly strong US dollar. That's according to Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who has been fiercely defending government's measures at stabilizing the cedi. Dr. Bawumia maintains the US dollar has been strengthened, making it more appealing to investors across the world. Government generally and Dr. Bawumia in particular has come under intense criticism by sections of the public for failing to address the free fall of the cedi. JoyNews checks at various trading points in Accra show the value of the currency to the dollar is hovering around 4.85 cedis, with some open traders selling the dollar at 5 cedis. While addressing students at the launch of the School Entrepreneurship Initiative in Tamale Friday, Dr. Bawumia said the exchange rate of the cedi to the dollar has remained stable compared to other currencies because of the strong fundamentals put in place by the Akufo-Addo administration.
In this context, the exchange rate of the cedi to the dollar has remained relatively stable when compared to the movements in other currencies against the US dollar. The reason for this is because of the relatively stronger fundamentals that we have in our economy. According to the BOG data, Bank of Ghana data, the cedi exchange rate increased from 1.1 to 4.2 to the dollar between 2008 and 2016. At the time we assumed office, the cedi exchange rate was some 4.2 cedis to the dollar. And today, if you look at the Bank of Ghana data, it's at 4.75 to the dollar. It is therefore clear, and absolutely clear and incontrovertible, that we as a government under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's leadership and the management at the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana, it is clear that we have managed the exchange rate much better than our predecessors, and also much better than many other countries this year. In previous years, and I want to put our management of the exchange rate in context, in recent years, the Cedi has depreciated against the dollar as follows. In 2012, the Cedi depreciated against the dollar by 17.5%. 2013, 14.6%. 2014, 31.3%. 2015, 15.6%. And 2016, 9.6%. In 2017, we had 4.9%, and in 2018, thus far, we have 7%.
So, do the strong fundamentals make any difference in efforts to stabilize the depreciating Ghanaian currency if external factors play a role in its free fall? Well, former Deputy Finance Minister under the Mahama administration, Fifi Kwete, doesn't think so. He's been sharing his experiences at the Cedi Forum organized by Joy FM.
Anybody who does take a quick look at our economic performance over the last few years will know that the period second half of 2009 all the way to the end of 2011 has been one of the most remarkable periods in our history. I mean, the kind of achievement we had in the economy was absolutely remarkable. Yet, the point I'm making is this. And if you take note of that period, you know that's a period where we had back-to-back inflation at single digits for, in fact, if we add it all the way to the time it ended, 3 years continuous of single digits, which we have never had in the history of our country. We had it at that period. That same period saw the highest growth in our history. Treasury bills rates drop as at November 2011, dropped to as low as 9.2. I don't think we've seen that again happen. But in spite of all that, in the year 2012, the first 5 to 6 months saw very rapid depreciation of the currency. And if you do recall, that was actually the period where the now Vice President came up with the famous statement that if you do propaganda with the economy, the exchange rate will expose you. But what he got wrong was that truly the fundamentals were strong. But however, the Cedi still suffered in the year 2012. And that's exactly what it is that seems to be going full circle now. That in spite of the fact that you are getting all the so-called strong fundamentals, the Cedi is having pressures. The Cedi suddenly is no more locked under key and the police headquarters with the padlock, but actually has started galloping. So which tells you that really it's not simply an issue of what the fundamentals are. There are a number of things that still can affect currencies, and it's important for us to take note of them.
Well, over the last few weeks, analysts and economic experts have proposed, among others, that in the short term, the Bank of Ghana injects more dollars into the system to stabilize the cedi. Over the long term, however, they are recommending government steps up its industrialization drive. Dr. Priscilla Chumesi is a lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana.
Since independence, this country is over 60 years. We are still sending goods in their raw forms. Why can't we add some basic value and command good value when the goods go abroad? Why are we always talking about these things, but we don't seem to be, taking any proactive measure to do them? When governments launch, policies such as, for example, planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory. These are ingenious policies that if we put our heads to them and we make them work, we know we can add value to our agricultural produce. First of all, if for nothing at all, we can feed ourselves and ease the pressure on the currency that we always, our market women, Mr. Obin's people are always queuing exchanging the dollar, going abroad, making money, making profits. They are interested. They are rational economic beings, we understand. But if we can produce certain basic goods that we consume domestically, it means that we would not have to import those goods. Now it has gotten so ridiculous to the point that people are even importing water. And you ask yourself, what is the point? Really, because people believe that everything imported is good. And when you keep doing this, it means that we don't have a cause. We don't have, the morality to question about the value of our currency. We cannot get up and from morning to evening demand foreign goods and expect our currency to be stable.
Well, with the growing concerns over the Cedi's continued free fall, Chief Executive Officer of Delex Finance, Ken Thompson, says cutting imports is the way to go to address the problem.
You can't live in a country where you import everything and expect to have a stable currency. It doesn't happen. Over 75% of the containers that come into this country go back empty. Over 75% of the containers that come into this country laden with goods go back empty. If you want a stable currency, fill those containers. Don't tell me about pumping dollars. I've heard this too many times. And we've got to accept that for an economy that is not productive, there will be some. We should allow the city to reach its true value. Of course, I've said that manage it before. And rather than use the little money you have to support it, probably manage a decline and use the balance that you have to support your productive sector. So over time, you become competitive. But don't throw good money after bad. It's a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time. And I'm really not interested in listening to the theory. It doesn't make sense. I remember the last time, the first time I spoke about the Cedi. No, actually, it was on TV, and some lecturer, no disrespect to any of the lecturers here, but some professor said, Mr. Thompson, you can't just say the currency is devalued, but we have to use your models, blah, blah, blah. I say, my friend Prof. The Big Mac Index, against all those sophisticated models, has proved to be more reliable. The Cedi is overvalued. What is our problem? Over 75% of the containers that come to this country go back empty. If you want your currency to be stable, if you want to create jobs, if you want your businesses to be competitive, do the things that will make those containers go back with something that you're selling.
So decreasing imports and increasing exports, is that the way to go as proposed by the various experts? Joining me on the line with some perspective is Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Asaki Awingobit. Good evening and many thanks for your time. We'll come to the proposals being proffered by the experts. First of all, tell us how the free fall of the Cedi is affecting the operations of your members, who are, of course, importers and exporters.
Thank you very much. I don't know the one I'm speaking with. If I may know your name so that I can address the issue properly. What is the name?
I beg your pardon?
If I may know your name, I think I don't know your name. I want to address the issue properly, and I want to use your name to address the issue. What's the name?
My name is Araba Kumson.
Okay, Araba Kumson. Okay. Araba Kumson, thank you very much. And I must say a very big good evening to all your channel listeners and viewers nationwide. I must say that I'm quite disappointed in the two experts, the so-called two experts that you've just spoken to. I think one is from University of Ghana Business School or so, and then another one is from the Delex Finance, the CEO. I respect them in terms of the lecturer at the University of Ghana in terms of academia, but in terms of business-wise, I'm sure he's not on top of business. I respect Thompson of the CEO of Delex Finance. Maybe in terms of banking sector, fine, but in terms of business sector, I'm sure he's not there. They need to know that if there's any demand, nobody will import into this country. That's what they should understand. Two, they should also know that if we are having produce that we have in Ghana here in abundance, and there's excess, Ghanaians importers wouldn't have been suffering the importation, but they will rather export the excess to other countries and make some forests. Mind you, we have been advocating that what can be done, what can we do, what is government doing in terms of export sector. And so when you have two experts, one academia, one in the business, practicing business as a banker, to come and make this statement, it doesn't speak well. One, let me take the Data's finance man. He is an investment banker, and I'm sure, or an economist as well. His bank is benefiting from the business community. Who is he lending to? He lends to these importers who go around to do business, and he makes a lot of profit from. Ask him how much is his bank borrowing to the business community in this country, and what is the interest rate that they are paying to him. If they were not doing business, I don't think he would have been in business and to come and make such a assertion. But nonetheless, let me not put my anger on them. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that the two experts that came on your line and explained this evening should know that if it is not only importers who are looking for the foreign currency in this country, the commercial banks that are not owned by Ghanaians, at the end of the year, when they make their profit, what do? They repatriate the margins, their profit, to shareholders. The telecommunication companies in this country, which are not owned by Ghanaians, at the end of the year, if they make after taxation, if they declare dividend, what do? They repatriate to their principal. So people invest in Ghana to make invest.
All right, Mr. Awingobit.
Quite apart from that, let me give you the scenario. Quite apart from that, the commercial banks themselves, that Bank of Ghana knows that the inter-trading rate is between 4.76. They themselves are given to business people at $5, 5 cedis to $1. So it is very bare consequences effect on all of us, not only the business community.
Mr. Awingobit.
It is also affecting the final consumer.
Mr. Awingobit. If you can hear me. In fact, the question I asked was how the free fall of the cedi was affecting your members directly, but you've responded to, the suggestions being proffered by the experts there.
I was going to tell you a few minutes ago that it is the effect. It's not only on importers alone, my dear sister. The effect on the cedi falling is affecting all of us. You, the consumer. I am a consumer. If the importer have to borrow money to go and convert at $1 into Ghana, 5 Ghana cedis, it tells you if he or she goes and bring goods to this country, he has no choice to be on business. He has to increase price. He has to pass it on to you and I. So the effect is not only on the business. However, it is when the businessman wants the money to fiscal cash to go and bring business, the suffering that he goes through is what he will suffer. But at the end of the day, you have to pass it on to be on business.
All right, Mr. Awingobit.
I'm telling you.
Mr. Awingobit, let me take your quick reaction to what Dr. Baumia said. He's been offering assurances on what government is doing to address the depreciating cedi. He says the fundamentals are in place. Essentially, government has done its bit, but that they just can't withstand the strength of the dollar, which appears to be more appealing to investors now. How do you react to that explanation?
Well, of course, every investor will want to send his money to where he will make a lot of profits. And so for that matter, so is it a deliberate attempt for government to make our city so weak, say that people will bring in their dollar to make more money from here? Is that it? If that's the case, then the president, the government should rather have the plight of Ghanaians, the masses in place at heart. Of course, because the Ghanaian consumer is paramount. It is the Ghanaian who voted for him. It's not a business, it's not the investor who's come to invest and make so much yield from here. It's all who voted them. So if you think that the city is deliberately being weakened for more investors to come in, of course, if I know I'll bring more dollar to make a lot of money, of course, I will bring it to make a lot of money.
Very well.
But let's ask ourselves that what about the ordinary Ghanaian? What is the plight of ordinary Ghanaian? I'm saying that any importer who suffered to change this kind of $1 to 5 Ghana cedis and go and bring businesses will have to pass the cost, will have to increase his goods and services at the market.
Very well. Very well. Many thanks for your time. I think your point has been well made. That is Samson Awingobit. He speaks for the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Now, his pen and his voice did the fighting in helping to ensure the liberation of political and social consciousness of the African without the use of a gun. Words contained in the tribute by President Akufo-Addo to renowned Ghanaian poet Professor Atukwe Okai, who was laid to rest Friday at the military cemetery in Accra. Well wishers, including Ghanaians and foreign nationals, gathered at the Accra International Conference Center to bid an emotional farewell to the renowned poet who passed on July 13th. Nancy Emefa Dradosi sat through the funeral rites and reports.
Mihe, la nijawa, akekbomi, minayewen, yeye momi, aeremi, maje nyomoyi.
The last song Professor Atukwe Okai sang with his family. Perhaps he had seen his death coming. As family members say, he gathered many of them to sing praises and worship on the eve of his death.
My one consolation is that you went peacefully. You sang praises and worshiped with us on the eve of your departure.
Many Ghanaians knew him as a literary giant, but to his wife, Beatrice Atukwe Okai, he was humane and kind-hearted. Here is her befitting ode to her late husband.
Let all the horn blowers of Gambaga blow your horn. Let all the soothsayers of Esiama soothe your sorrows. Up the hills of Legon, the tall mahogany trees are bowing to you. All the phantom of African cities are booming, asking, where is the master drummer? Atukwe, Atukwe, Atukwe. This time, you really took the way.
And how did an intellectual like Atukwe Okai woo her?
For our first date, we met on the University of Ghana campus, BAM Library to be precise. He subsequently took me to the university bookshop, ending up at the Sabah Hall canteen. We became very good literary friends and later researched into each other's family background just to be sure we weren't related. Whenever anyone inquired how we met, Atukwe said that for him, it was love at first sight.
Emulating their father's prowess, his 4 children composed this beautiful piece for him.
From, of all your offspring, I shall be the phantom from. Listen, phantom from, I am the phantom from. I am Africa.
In his tribute to the late poet, although he did not read it out, President Akufo-Addo described Professor Atukwe Okai as a fighter for liberation of political and social consciousness. But did you know the late poet was also a one-time political appointee?
Under his vision, leadership and direction, the country recognized and accepted the airtight proposal of what came to be known as the Greater Accra region. And he briefly imposed a controversial ban on kebab selling when all the dogs started disappearing.
And although he may have come across to many as a serious person, his friends recall the nicknames he was often labeled with.
Atukwe Dada, Hype Master, Bode or Bra.
But his nickname was Jack Palace.
Mr. Longman.
But the whole of the Legon community called him Logoligi. As soon as we would see, oh, Logoligi is coming.
Dignitaries who paid their last respect urged Ghanaians to emulate the good deeds of the late Atukwe Okai, who many fondly described as a true son of Africa. Nancy Emefa Jedozi, Joy News.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. And on to another renowned statesman. The family of the late VCRAC Crabbe has described the late statesman as an exceptional father whose impact transcended beyond his close relations. The 94-year-old prominent judge, credited with setting up the country's electoral commission, died on Friday, September 7, after a short illness.
Late VCRAC Crabbe is described as an inspiration to many and always willing to help. Those are some fond memories shared by children of the retired Supreme Court judge when management of Mount Crest University visited his home to commiserate with the family.
He was always reliable. He was always, he was a shoulder to so many people. He never said no. I'm sure he will give you his last dollar. He would do everything possible to make sure that you achieved what you wanted to. On my side, I am heartbroken.
Daddy was everyone's dad. We shared him with so many people.
In an interview with Joy News, Rector of Mount Crest University College, Kwame Ansah-Asare, described the late VCRAC Crabbe as a disciplinarian.
He insisted that students should dress like intending lawyers. Yes. So if you meet Mount Crest students, you see that they are always immaculately dressed. Right from the beginning, our vision was to produce lawyers with integrity because of Prof's values of honesty, integrity, uprightness, because he was himself an upright judge.
President of the Student Representative Council, Ibrahim Mohammed, also eulogized the late professor of law as one who never discriminated amongst students.
He knows how to connect with every kind of student, and when you're in his class, someone that encourages you to ask a lot of questions. He's always willing to answer questions.
The late VCRAC Crabbe, until his death, was a professor of law at Mount Crest University College in Accra. He was also the first Ghanaian to head the Electoral Commission.
Now, if television and radio adverts in the country are anything to go by, there appears to be a high demand for various brands of feminine hygiene products, from various washes and douches to keep the lady parts smelling fresh, to the more potent medicated products aimed at tightening the vagina. Some young ladies are increasingly resorting to chemical means of vaginal maintenance, but this trend is not without considerable health risks, as the broad-spectrum antibiotics contained in some vaginal tightening products can upset the natural balance of bacteria in the vagina's ecosystem. Here is Joshua Smith's report.
Vanessa, a user of these solutions, says hygiene is the most important thing to her, adding she's never suffered any side effects.
As a female, hygiene is one thing that you should be particular about, and then also feel comfortable after using it. So far, so good. I've not experienced any side effects, which I don't think I would, because the product is good.
But a gynecologist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Titus Boyo, explains due to the vagina's self-cleansing nature, these products being used by young ladies are completely unnecessary.
The natural physiology of the vagina makes it such that these things are completely not necessary. The vagina is a self-cleansing organ, something that all that a woman needs to clean herself is just clean water.
Pharmacists disclose there has been a 50% increase in sales over the last 2 years, advising ladies to stick to one sexual partner.
In the last couple of years, from the data we have from our stores around throughout Ghana, there's been an increment, probably about 50% in sales from the last 2 years. And we believe this is owing to the fact that there are a lot of commercials in the media pointing to several uses for these things. There's only one thing that people are aiming at, probably to freshen up and reduce odor. But when they come in and they're asking for products that they've heard on the radio or they've seen on the television, that's where our professional judgment has to come in.
Some of the ladies too, they want their vaginas to be very tight, but they have more than one partner, which is not good.
Views on this matter are varied. Some believe the best option for cleaning the vagina is to simply use warm water.
For me, I'm not interested in that. And I feel how God created us. He didn't say that we should use this and that.
I don't use them. I'm not interested in using any of those products or chemicals, because I know from advisors, doctors, and then from my parents, they never taught me anything of that. Dr.
Boyo further reveals the vagina is a zoo for millions of microorganisms, and that as long as there is no disease or infection, the vagina's unpleasant odor is natural with every woman and should not be seen as offensive.
If the vagina is not diseased, it has a natural smell. which is not offensive, it's not pungent, and that smell, it's okay. However, if it gets disease, then the nature of the disease determines the smell that occurs there. Now, if you realize the vagina physiologically is more like a zoo of several millions of microorganisms.
Head of Communications at the Food and Drugs Authority, James Latte, reveals under the Public Health Act 851/2012, Section 118(1), all the products regulated must be registered before imported or locally manufactured, adding elements not recorded are criminal offences.
When we look at the Public Health Act, Act 851/2012, Section 118, subsection 1, this is what it says. It says that a person shall not manufacture, prepare, import, export, distribute, supply, or exhibit for sale a drug, a herbal medicinal products, cosmetics, which feminine wash falls under, cosmetics, medical device, or household chemical substance, unless the article has been registered by the authority referring to the Food and Drugs Authority. This is what the law says. So it means that if anyone is selling any article, I'm talking about a feminine wash or vaginal wash, that has not been registered by the FDA, it is a criminal offense.
Joshua Smith's report for Joy News.
I'm Ira Bokumsin, and on behalf of the team, thank you for joining us throughout the week. Have a good weekend. Good night.
This is JoyNews Prime.